start. So if you are at home, you're going to miss this activity as a team activity, but you can still do it on your own. So what you're going to do is draw 4 different, not the same, 4 different XY axes. Each one needs a scale. Now, if it's 1 to 1, yeah, we can kind of assume that, but we said in here we still want to give it a scale. So if it's 1 to 1, just, mark a 1 to 1. Land your helicopter, please. Thank you. When you all have the same graphs, like each of you, like you could essentially lay your papers on top of each other and be like, oh yeah, they're the exact same thing. I'd almost say you need to decide on the same scales too. Because like you're doing this all together. So I would, when you look at a situation, say, so are we going to scale this 1 to 1? Do we need to scale like X's by 1, Y's by 2? Yeah, you and your group should have already been sitting together. Notice how these guys have gotten together and like. All right, so I'm not going to keep delaying time for people that weren't listening to directions from the start, but you guys keep moving how you need to. Then you come up to me, have me check your graphs, and if your team is the first one successful, you win. Now I have nice Valentine's themed M&Ms up here, and I have non-chocolate candy for any nut allergies or anything like that. But I actually do have popsicles. Now you'd have to wait till like break for those, but I do have some popsicles stashed in the office. So that could also be our prize if we want. So, any questions about what you're doing? Because after I show you the graphs, I'm just walking around. I don't really want to answer any questions. You guys can decide those as a team. A lot of times you guys try to ask me a question before you've even discussed it with your team, and that's not cool. Avi?
Just to clarify, we're just making a graph, right? We're just making a graph.
For each situation you're showing.
Okay.
Might be a function. Might not.
Oh, what are we concluding to do? Like the best.
Get them done first. Sorry, speed is going to be a thing today. Because you guys keep getting off topic, so I decided I would do something to try to encourage the on topicness. I saw a hand, I think. And you don't have to be in like teams. You can work independently or just with partners or whatever if you want. Yeah.
So we decide on the scale as a team and then we do it?
Yeah. I mean, or if you all think 1 to 1 works, I mean, that's kind of like an easy default scale.
And is this like we all get the same 4 or like?
Yeah. Every team is going to have the same 4 put up here. I'm not giving you anything. Okay, so you might as well like go.
He was recording.
No, I'll stop. That's...
That scared me so much.
Sorry, it shouldn't have been that loud. My YouTube booted up at full volume.
Do we have to graph like all the points or just like make them?
Wait, are you going ahead?
It's easy.
I already did A.
Multiply these.
So guys, what I was trying to communicate is you were drawing 4 different XY axes. So like what Avi has, just a second. You're gonna have 4 different XY axes, not a single one like yesterday. 4 different XY axes. Because if you try to put them all on the same one, it's gonna be difficult. Because the scale is gonna mess with you. That's why I had 2 of these. I'm trying to eat more fruits and vegetables, Andrew. You should be encouraging me, not judging.
They're bad for you. Yeah.
Why?
It's a great
I don't think that's true.
What the root?
Russ.
Is Josh Carter in here? Are you spreading crotch shot rumors around here? Apparently, Josh thinks he hit me in the crotch in dodgeball. See? No, didn't happen. But he did get it. Consequently, though, I did have to get him out 3 more times.
You saw that. You're spending time, not on the right thing right now.
We need a calculator.
4x times y equals 12.
But like,
Pick some easy ones.
and then you just like make it?
Here's my answer. No, your whole team has to have all the graphs. Yeah, that's what you get for being on a team.
I was alone.
No, you weren't.
I was.
Then you're on a team now. We'll say you cannot come up here alone. You must bring at least one person. With graphs that match yours.
Hold on.
You missed
No, I
it.
messed up. I messed
They all look like they do.
Now, I didn't say you have to have like to infinity, right? So D, choose a section of the graph. You do not have to go to infinity. You can only graph so far, then put arrows. Drawers. Gravity is the anchor.
What's yours? Okay, then ours are gonna be a little but yours is like wait, I might have done it wrong. I did.
I mean, like, I can buy you a can of candy's pretty cheap, to be honest.
He has to deserve it. What?
Those five.
Weren't you just yelling at somebody for their graph and now you're erasing yours?
No. Let's just say he's competitive. Go.
Everyone on your team? When you're ready, come on.
Why are you doing it by 2?
What? My grandma's like that funky dude.
I can see my veins.
No, I had it right.
Oh my god, yes, on
No, I didn't have it right. It's like this.
I didn't draw the veins.
Literally, make it with your mind. I'm just doing what I did before.
This line gets a little skewed. If I'm being picky, at least one of these is not right. Well, that one's better. Wait a minute. That doesn't make sense to me. At least one of your graphs is wrong. Literally, one of them is just slightly off, but one of them on all three papers is not correct.
We got it! We got it! We got it! We got
Did you get it?
it! Yes! What do you think? These are 1 by 1. All of them are 1 by 1.
All of them are 1 by 1. Oh,
Like all of the
scale.
scale. Only need 2. On the scale.
Wait, are these all
On the
yours?
scale. Yeah.
Why is this person's graph different from this person's?
No, it's the same.
Oh, that's not how
Yes,
it's working.
it is. Because it went like that. And then that one just changed down.
How am I supposed to know what axis is what axis if I have to integrate them? You're also missing parts of that one graph. So beyond the fact that if I have to scan your paper, you need to label X, Y, which none of you have X, Y axes labeled. Which doesn't look, I don't know which way to really. I don't know why I have so many papers, but you're at least missing parts of one of the graphs. You're not completing. Like put an X on one of the axes and Y and the other. Stop. You know? At least, where is D? You have a graph for D. Where's your graph? Oh, you should draw a graph. There should be a line. I'm not saying straight, but there should be a line.
There should be a line.
So, by the way,
I have lines.
out of order.
It's not straight.
That's not why I rejected your stuff.
I know.
I will let that slide, but one of your graphs is missing stuff.
No. I wasn't even part of their
You do not have everything. No one on your team has everything. I don't care if you have lines or not. No one on your team has everything. No. How we doing? You trying these? You stuck on anything?
I want to.
Yeah, sure. Not complete. I can look at it real fast and tell if you have everything I'm looking for, and you do not.
Take my paper.
No.
Oh,
Sorry.
-2.
Not Which? I don't even know which one is which.
D, C, B, A.
Nope.
All three.
I'm gonna buy you candy.
Oh, I created an over. Dude, can you give us a free car ride in Dollar next time?
No. We can walk. It's not really that far.
Yes, it is 4. Okay, I'll be back soon.
It's under 2 miles.
He never said that.
What's
Man, I really thought we'd at least have a winner by now. Logan, what are you doing over there? Are you doing this activity? I figured at least if anybody, you'd see what I'm like. I figured you'd recognize my trap door.
Nobody
And I'm a little confused up there, but I'm kind of letting that slide because I figure that's just an eraser issue.
Yeah, I don't have an eraser.
Nope.
Oh wait. Something else.
I can't tell which way is up, but if I'm assuming that way is up. Grab a seat, everybody.
Yeah, one last thing. Is this it?
You're getting closer. You are getting closer. No. Well, I don't. Maybe, but it's wrong. I mean, at that point, like sloppy is wrong.
Is it a parabola?
Sit down.
Well, A is that.
I'll check. I haven't seen you guys yet, have I? I have people trying 800 times, and they're not taking their time to think through stuff. Let me see somebody's.
No, B is absent.
How much longer is still wrong?
That does not match this. So we weren't working as a team completely. I know you guys probably pulled Crystal in, or Crystal jumped on because.
I showed it to mine to Crystal, and the first time she was like, "This doesn't look right." Second time she said it was right, but I don't think it's right.
So, see me after class. You guys are as close as we've gotten. So you four, see me after, we are as close as we've gotten. Yeah, we're gonna go over everything right now, though.
I'm getting a bad
Oh snap! This one's just missing the part. We're about to go over. Those are really good. Those are really, really close. Stop. Without talking to each other. Take a moment, especially if I rejected your graphs, and look at why without the chaos of talking with other people. Take at least 60 seconds to do that while I fight with my computer to let me put a graph in here. I did. You know you have this wrong. That's what you're coming up to tell me?
Yeah.
Well, we'll fix it here in just a second.
Actually, I don't know. I'm just assuming.
Why? Because so many people.
Because you said trapdoor, and I'm just like, I'm not on it. Because I never look around that.
Hey, why are people talking? Yeah, I know. I'll slide that down for AB, and then we'll slide it up to CCD. To CCD. You know, compact disc. Those things that spin and project music.
Oh my god, no, not they don't project music. That's not how this works. This doesn't project music.
Well, it's read by a laser.
Well, yes, and that's why it's compact, because it doesn't have to be read by some.
This is not good. I feel like I'm missing a pen. Hey, anyone who is letting their, excuse me, anyone letting their 7th graders show in a bad way right now by not being able to control your ruler, please put it away. Like, go put it away. If you cannot handle having a ruler, aha! There's the pen I was looking for. Let's call A blue. So here's my axes, if you can't see. So my 0, 0, my origin point is right there. We would label Y, and we would label X. Bye, Audrey. If you don't have an X and a Y on each set of axes, fix it. If you don't have an X and a Y on all 4 sets of, you gotta label your axes.
Wait, actually?
No, it's not, because there's no up and down in geometry. No.
Look at this. Look at this.
The other point of applying a scale and labeling your graph is knowing which direction I should turn that crazy paper, as you all brought me up stacks of insanity. So if I label over here, this is actually negative X and negative Y, because those are going to be the negative Y values. Or you could just label that this is positive 1, and I should be writing thinner. This is positive 1, negative 1, and negative 1. Really, a complete graph, as I'm going to start grading you on, is your graph complete? A complete graph should have axes labeled and a scale shown. Now, this may not work for all of my graphs. I may have to mess with some stuff. But if I look at this A, like what I color coded blue, is it a function? No, because, well, actually, I would be remiss if I didn't use random cards. Liam, why is it not a function?
Because it's touching multiple Y lines things.
Things, yeah.
The same input has multiple outputs.
Ah, the same input, 2, 3, 4, has multiple outputs.
Not allowed.
So this is not a function. What we should have shown at least is this, and this is where Logan and I were arguing yesterday. I didn't feel good, so I was probably a little short with you, so my bad. But this is not a function. This is actually, if you'd like to label it on your paper, actually never mind, because it's not, well, yeah it is. This is x equals square root of y. Or, no, I'm backwards.
No, it's square root of y.
Hold on, let me double check. Because when x is 4, y is 2 or negative 2, so it's the square root of x is y. Is that what I wrote up there? This should be y equals square root of x. I don't know what I just wrote.
You wrote x equals square root of y.
Sorry. That would be a function.
Is that equivalent to x equals y squared?
Yes. So this is also x equals y squared. Because if I square both sides, because my x value is y squared. When y is 2, x is 4. But when y is negative 2, well, negative 2 squared is 4. Not a function, but it is a rule. Right? Are we okay on why a looks like that?
Yes.
Any questions? Be honest, don't just like, if you're sitting there thinking like, well, I do have a question, but I don't want to ask it. Sorry, that was the wrong button to click. I wasn't mad, I was frustrated you wouldn't believe me, because I'm your teacher. Like, I hope that you will believe me. So y equals, what are those vertical bars?
Lines.
You have to know what these mean in order to graph this. Absolute value. So the fun thing about absolute value graphs, they're nice V's. Now, this, so if you just see y equals absolute value of x, it's a nice V. It's a nice V. But when we modify in there, it messes with things. So let's just play with this. If x is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what's 5 minus 2? 3. Absolute value of 3, 3. If x was, I don't know, 0, well, 0 minus 2, negative 2, but absolute value, positive 2. Let's find a point in the middle so we can see what behavior is happening. What if x is 2? 2 minus 2, well, 0. So if x is 2, I guess it's there. I need to delete a couple of these extraneous points that got up here accidentally. And if we don't yet see the graph behavior, we could try a negative x just to play with things. What if x is negative 2? Negative 2 minus 2, negative 4, but then it's absolute value, so it's positive 4. This graph should look like tweak where that is.
How come? Wouldn't you take the equation in there and then you would do that normally, but then you would take the absolute value of that?
Yeah, that's what we did.
But then negative 2 minus 2 would be 4, so it would be
No. Negative 2 minus 2. What is that?
4.
No.
Negative 4, so you change it to 4.
Correct. Help me figure out what you're confused on. Negative 2. When x is negative 2.
But that just does not look like that.
So this is my y-axis. Right? This is my x-axis. This is 0, 0. We got one scale of 1. Yeah. This is why I kept sending you guys back.
Wait, that was the only reason?
No.
Well, you
There
said
were
this
a
is-
lot of trap doors.
You said this is why though.
Well, it's for things like this.
So we should get
Is there other confusion? So this is where x is negative 2. right? This is what we're like kind of back and forth about. -2 minus 2 is -4, but the absolute value of that is positive. So we come up here to this point. That is the point -2, +4. Because y is +4 when x is -2.
Did you do like equals y minus 2?
You could, but that's not what this is. That would actually turn into y equals x plus 2, is what you're describing, because we would actually push things over to get y by itself. Any continued questions, confusions, comments, concerns on this? Any graph that involves the absolute value bars will look like a V. It'll just be potentially shifted left, right, up, down, or squeezed tighter or wider, but it's always going to look like a V. Two straight lines coming together. Go
You
ahead.
mean like the whole side is absolute value?
Like when it's y equals absolute value x. Something to do with absolute value x. Because the modified version of this is y equals a absolute value x minus h plus k. This is the final modified version of absolute value where a, h, and k can all be values. And actually, if you want to mess it up even more, you could put another value in front of the x.
I do not understand.
You aren't supposed to.
Or you could do the entire thing
I
with the power
understand it, but
of
it's
t.
frustrating. It's frustrating.
All right, any questions on the graph we actually have? Not that craziness I just wrote up there. Alex?
Not really a graph, but I've tried to find how to do absolute value like on a calculator, and I can't find it.
On there, hit, shoot, what's the button? Math? Hit math. Go to num. It's a number function in the math menu. It'll say ABS.
That makes me feel nauseous.
Whoa, dude, this part on my calculator says math. It'll say what? Dude, do math. What will it say?
ABS, right there.
Oh, I do see the top part.
A starting value of 8 and a rate of change of -2/3. Guys, some of you came up to me with a graph I could tell you immediately wrong. Like, just without even comparing or counting boxes. A negative growth rate, and I have some people not paying attention, and it worries me. A negative growth rate, yes, Hazel Collins, as Audrey is trying to pull you back into class, it is you that I am talking to who's not paying attention. You with me now? Please and thank you. Down to over 3. Your line will be decreasing. Down 2, over 3, down 2, over 3. We could go up to left 3, but I can't because I don't have any graph. So then, when I go and I connect my lines, I keep doing that instead of this. Crap, give me the line tool. We will hit the x-axis way over here. So some of you brought me a graph where you had made the slope -3/2, and your line came from 8 and was pretty steep. That was also not correct.
I was basically 100% right,
Except for the parts where I was wrong. I got everything right except for the ones that I missed.
Wait, so
Do you remember the growth triangles we drew?
wait, never mind actually.
Well, I'm not going to never mind because I have one last thing to say. The growth triangles that we drew, guys, you can make them as big as you want, but when simplified, they should be the slope of our line. So I can draw a few different growth triangles here, but all of them simplify out to -2/3. Questions on this one? Now, D is what everyone absolutely missed, except for potentially the final group that came up. Very good job, ladies. So, Crystal, my thought is you were probably guiding that group a little bit. Can you tell me what you thought about as you were doing x times y equals 12? Yeah, finally, at the very end. a negative times a negative is a positive. So start plugging in potential values for x and y. Look, guys, we know some of them. When x is 4, what will y be? 3. When x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. When x is 3, what will y be? 4. When x is 2, what will y be? 6. When x is 6, what will y be?
Oh my gosh.
When x is 1, what will y be? Well, 12. That's going to be higher up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good, I estimated correctly. Correct, except it goes right there.
Yeah, 12
Ignore-
times 0 is not.
Shh. Give me time to catch
12
these
times
things.
0 is definitely 12.
So this should be a curve. Now here's another issue that did happen. It'll never touch this axis. It'll never ever. So if you drew your curve and you just like willy-nilly let it like hit the axis, that's wrong. It's never gonna be able to hit that axis. It'll get exponentially close to it, but this isn't actually well. We'll dive down that diving well when we get there. But then the part that a lot of you were missing, at least till you came up, is the negative. It's the same thing. So let me get rid of the one that's wrong.
Vicna is claiming they had this before that.
That's fine. Did all 4 of you?
Patrick got all. Patrick got all.
Yes, because he broke through.
Oh wait, Patrick, you got the same thing, didn't you?
Negative 4, negative 3, negative 6, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 2, negative 6. Yes, you have to have both curves drawn. So guys, if you were missing this other curve, come on, smartboard, you are a pain. That's not what I want. Go away. If you are missing that curve, you are not complete. So as you came up and I said you're missing, you're not complete. You're like, there's something else. That's the part we were missing.
Wait, we got that. We got that.
By the end, but then your other graphs weren't right. You know what else isn't like flattering? Lying to the person that knows that you actually didn't do something.
I'm claiming this for Vicna. I did not have this first.
Next challenge, 5-minute burn session. Let's see how fast we can go. What is this relationship?
X times whatever.
X.
We
No.
know the law. Why is that plus C?
It's
Fifth. Fourth power.
X to the 4th power. What?
How were we all so bad at the last one, but now this one, a lot of us are just like, oh yeah, well, duh. Like, who can volunteer to tell me, like, what you're recognizing and what you're thinking about? And what? So, Simon, I will let you redeem yourself.
So, it's the, so, the 1 would equal to 1 because 1 squared by anything is still 1.
Hold on, one piece at a time. This tells us, like, it's a really good indicator of x to any number. Doesn't matter what it is. Or, sorry, not x. 1 to any number is 1. So that's a nice indicator of a power might be happening here. So then, you want to keep going?
I know a little bit of power to 5. So I saw that that 5 times 5 is 25. Then times 5 is 125. Then times 5 is 625.
Ending in a 2-5, or even just ending in a 5, is a really good indicator of some sort of power of 5 happening. So we then are kind of thinking, okay, 5 to the what power equals 625. We guess around till it works, and we find out that 4 works, and then we can double check this. The 7s are a bit more complicated. Yeah, it works then. So 7 to the 4th power. So wait, how do I go backwards then? If I have 16, how do we go backwards from a 4th power? I want to make sure everyone in this room can do it in the calculator to any number. What are we doing, Hazel, since you're on your calculator, what are we doing instead of power? What's the opposite? But what about any power? A root, some kind of root, right? Here, the opposite is fourth root. So we can either say y equals x to the fourth, or the same relationship is x equals the fourth root of y.
Whoa.
In your calculator. Eyes. And if you have a T83, I'll show you in a second. In your calculator, your powers are right here. Give me eyes. I'm doing this once. Your power is right here. Fourth button up on the left side. And the square root is just above that. The caret is your any power. And the second function, so hit the second button, then that is your any root. Trick is you got to type the root number first. So everyone hit 4, then that root button. So you'll hit 4 second caret number 4 second function caret. It's different on the 83, I think. 84, whatever they are. And then type in 16 or 625 or one of those. So you want to go probably. No, that's square root. That's square root. It's not any root. So you have to put in this root. So to go to any root, you go to math. You go to math. That's the x root. So that means any root. So still, you have to type 14 first. Sorry, then. Now, hold up. I regret to inform you of something, and I think I've said this before. Your calculator's stupid.
Yes, it is. This thing doesn't even have a cover.
Well, we can get you a different calculator.
No, it's.
When you, hey guys, February of 7th grade year. When you go into your calculator, and I guarantee some of you are going to get this wrong on the mastery that we're going to have on Friday, because we do have class on Friday, and we will see. We weren't going to, then things changed. You've been at Phoenix for a while. You should expect the unexpected. Your calculator says this. That's fine, that's true. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, that's 16. Patrick, your calculator's not going to tell you this, but also, and negative 2 works. Because negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, negative, 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 we end up with positive.
But if it's even, it only works if the thing you're doing is.
It only works when the root is even, because that's how they pair up and make the positive going the opposite direction. So these are the trapdoors to watch out for. Tomorrow is closure day. Okay, we're working on closure tomorrow. Friday's mastery. Okay?
Wait, so
See,
how would
there's
we
something
write
else
that
to
as
do.
an
Or I'll
answer?
try to have a mastery printed so you can start it.
Sister, what's it?
What? I don't know. My answer isn't what I should say to a classroom full of impressionable, 7th graders. Yeah, we'll turn in pretty much because I'm giving you closure time. Like, I want your homework Friday. If you don't have it done, get it through Monday. But yeah, I want your chapter 8 homework. It should be done. No, because that might actually end up driving me crazy.